many teams going down the stretch. We welcome in Hail State baseball coach Justin Parker. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. I would ask you, did you see it coming? But, Evan Sierry with 15 Ks, that's one of the best performances in the history of Mississippi State baseball. And that's saying something, Justin.
Man, I can't say I saw it coming, and even in the aftermath of it, I had to kind of be brought up to speed on the stats of how special it was, and that's the challenge of the doubleheader. Is you're so narrow focused on game one, and then all of a sudden you come up to breathe, and game two starts in 45 minutes, and that just momentum is only as good as the next game starter, and he did a great job.
And how important was that? You could have lost the series, right, early in game two, and you didn't. So you lose game one. They hit some bombs. They take it, and then things get right out of the gate. How important was that for your squad in game two?
Oh, I think it was huge. I think it was the 5-run fifth in game one. Where some walks, some self-inflicted negatives kind of showed up. We didn't make the bunt play and things got away from us. And I did feel like we won the back half of that game, albeit we were chasing the game. The big inning has plagued us lately over the last month in our losses, and game one was no different. And but I did feel like we did some things against two of the better relievers in the league. Mason Morris has been maybe the best reliever in the league, and we were able to get to him a little bit, get him in, get him out. And there was a point of the weekend where I turned to go, and I said, just with where the game was in game one, if we could get through Morris and McCausland, I felt like we had a chance to win the series. And we did those things kind of, systematically got through their pen in game one, and then gave us a chance to win the series. And, it was such a special environment on Friday night. You lose game one after the schedule change and dealing with the weather, and the crowd they kept filling in. They kept showing up. It was a beautiful night. It was as good as I've ever seen the ballpark. And, of course, I've only been here for 2 years, but just such great support, albeit after a loss. And then our guys just really responded.
What did you see from Evan Sierry earlier? What was it like communicating with him as he's getting into rhythm and just mowing people down, Justin?
Well, there's been, and I've seen not this dominant coming, but you've seen him every week. It's just a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident. The pitch count and kind of the volume to be able to stretch him, and his endurance has gotten a little bit better. And his mentality of learning how to start and how to navigate, through a third time, and even on Friday night, even through a fourth time of the lineup. Those are things that he's grown with every week. And, he was a little bit supercharged. Like I said, it was such an electric environment. Of course, the rivalry helps. He's been working like crazy. He's probably, he's in probably too hard of a worker at times. But he's been working so hard on his delivery and just trying to find a little bit more horsepower and trust himself and get down the mound. I thought all those things kind of showed up, and I thought he got into a rhythm. And the double play in the first was huge. He gives up a leadoff single, and then the very next pitch gets a double play, and he's able to, for all of us, he's able to settle us all into the game. We get up and down in the first. We score, I think, 2 in the second, which kind of gave us a little bit of an early lead. And then he's just commanding 4 pitches. I think he had strikeouts on 3 pitches. He was throwing the slider for a strike, strikeouts on the curveball, 1 strikeout on the change, a bunch on the fastball, especially at the top of the zone. And, I think he just proved to himself what he's capable of doing.
I think Mississippi State fans thought that game lasted about 6 hours, game 2, Friday night, because of the score. Evan was amazing, as you are laying out for us. But talk about adding those runs late. And what that was, that's something that at times the club hasn't done. And hanging in there. This guy's having one of the best performances in college baseball this year, which is saying something. Just unreal. But I guess your lineup hanging in there and expanding the lead late, Coach.
Sure. Well, we've been talking about this a lot lately, and this is such a difficult league. No lead is ever safe. there's so much talent. There's so many superstars, and you have a responsibility as a team to get into those situations with a lead late, and it's everyone's responsibility to close the game. I think everyone just kind of talks about the bullpen or the closer. Or, my challenge is to our catcher: turn up the dial, like get us 3 outs and get us in the dugout. The defense, take responsibility and take some ownership of being a playmaker. We've been on the other end of that quite a bit this year, where games are in the balance. Even going back to the Texas series, I felt like we're 1 or 2 plays away from winning all 3 of those games, and they made the play defensively. They made the play in left. They took away a hit at short. And then, of course, just it's the mentality of the pitcher to just whatever you're called on, attack the zone, make them earn it, and then offensively do whatever you can to scrape and add some margin for error to it. So it's been talked about a lot lately. It's a responsibility of the whole group, to where when we get in those win situations, we're more aggressive. We're taking ownership of the moment, and and guys are looking at each other next to them, like, communicating and picking guys up. And, we just get into that win mode lately, and it's just, we've capitalized on those moments where, earlier in the year, we haven't been quite as good in them.
Justin Parker, Hail State baseball coach on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. His club took 2 of 3 from Ole Miss. Now they'll play North Alabama, play Missouri in Columbia Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then everybody goes to Hoover and is guaranteed a game. Okay, so the game 2 was wild and intense, and that plays out. Then you got to wait all day and into the evening to play, and it's cold. It's just a different deal, and the intensity level. It felt like a postseason. Did it feel like a postseason game by the time y'all squared up against Ole Miss on Saturday night, Justin?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We knew what was at stake, and we know how important that game was, and it was no less important for them. We knew it was going to be, potentially an ugly game with the conditions, with the weather. We juggled the weekend schedule, from the start, and I think we got it right. The fans showed up, and it did. It felt like a heavyweight fight, and that's what. I mean, I know it's the rivalry game, and it meant a little bit more, but man, when you're playing good teams this time of year in this league, and that's why it's just a little different than all other leagues. It's just that's what you get, and that's what you come here for, and is special nights like that, And I'm glad we were on the winning end of it, but that's how all of them are.
You mentioned the double play early in the game 2 Friday night. What about some of those double plays that your infield turned on Saturday? I mean, those guys were playing out of their minds.
Just unbelievable. I mean, and those are plays that I'm not even sure at points of the time earlier this year, I'm not even sure that we get an out. But it's to be able to make those plays and turn those into 2 outs, and then, the double play to start the 9th as well. I mean, it's just those guys are really playing with high level of confidence. I think they're getting used to, especially up the middle, they're getting used to playing with each other. There's some chemistry starting to create, between Sawyer Reeves and Gatlin Sanders there, which is huge. And they're just getting more comfortable and more confident together as they grow and play there every day.
Justin Parker on the Out of Bounds show. So yesterday, you get a day because of moving everything up on the weekend with weather. You got to get through North Alabama and then get ready for Missouri. I feel like it kind of played in your favor that Missouri. I listened to you post game Saturday night, and some of the guys in there asked some good questions, but I think it was going to be a tougher sell, Justin, if they were 0-27. They just swept A&M, who may not be having the year that they want to have, but college and MLB knows how talented their roster is. Is it a little bit easier sell to get these guys up and rolling for this last series, Justin?
Well, I think certainly probably, it's easier to get their attention now. But, if you look at Missouri, the history of the program, you look at even the scores this year, it's been a lot of really, really close games going in the 5th or 6th inning. And, it's not quite as lopsided as it's looked. It's a lot of guys, especially offensively, that have played a lot in this league and have played well in this league. It's a play style that and I think you saw it more this weekend. It'll be better for us to kind of be able to showcase some of the things that they do. If they do have a lead and they can do more things, it's more athletic. When they're trailing, of course, as everyone's playbook's a little bit more limited, but definitely I think hopefully a little easier to get their attention. But that was going to be our emphasis this week anyway. It's going to be a hard week for our guys mentally, especially just preparing. I feel like they're in a position to do that. We're going to be hard on them. We'll probably lighten the load a little bit physically this time of year, but really kind of ramp up the mental aspect of preparation, and that being, kind of the focal point is starting with Tuesday with North Alabama. It was a team last year that we were in, a very similar situation where we had Missouri at home the last weekend of the year, and we're on the cusp of hosting. And, North Alabama, honestly, we kind of, it took like a massive effort, I believe, from Joe Powell on the Tuesday night to beat them. And we went into that weekend just not as razor focused as I think we probably needed to be. And just Tuesday, North Alabama will have our full attention, and then we'll turn the dial over to Mizzou. But, it's going to be a hard week mentally. We're going to prepare. We're going to lean on these guys a little bit. We're going to make sure we're disciplined and focused.
Will you stay with everything moving up? Now, Sierra kind of got a bonus. I mean, you can run those numbers either way, and Carson. But Pico went on Friday. Now he'll be expected to go on Thursday. You feel like you'll stay with the same rotation, right?
I got to do inventory. Here today, just see how everybody kind of comes off of last week. Pico, of course, went Saturday to Friday and now Thursday. So he's gone back-to-back weeks on short rest. I would anticipate we stay the same. He's got to have a good work week. Nate Williams has to have a good work week. Ben Davis has to have a good work week. I think we'll probably stay the same, but like I said, I got to do inventory first, and then, it's going to take everybody there on the road too, just with the short window bouncing back.
And what about the math? If you've even had time to look, I mean, do you look at it like if y'all take 2 or 3, you're in? Or
I don't do a lot of the formulas. I know there's some guys in our office that are crunching the numbers, and I really don't. It's not gonna affect one way or the other how we prepare, how focused we are, and what we do within the game. Our most important game is our next game. So I don't really look at it that way. I know we've put ourselves in a position, and we've been talking about it. We've been talking about it for over a month now, just being on this back stretch of the year and being in a position to do what we want to do. I know everyone's aware of the position that we're in, but our focus is probably going to be just a little bit more narrow, focused on just trying to be as good as we can on Tuesday night.
You got to be also fired up for your players. I mean, they've been through hell. All these teams run the gauntlet, and then you got other things going on. But I guess to the resiliency and to answer the call, to at least put themselves in position these last 4 games, 5 if you want to count Hoover, but last 4 games of the regular season, you've got to be impressed with different guys stepping up in different situational fielding, hitting, and pitching the last few weeks.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, we've been through it all year. Just some high moments and then some disappointing moments, and it's come from a lot of different guys. It feels like we're more battle tested. It feels like we're more resilient, more tough minded, and of course you got to play well too. You can't just be all those things and not play well. But we're doing that lately. We're probably playing the best we've played over the last 3 weeks or a month. We're probably playing the best we've played all year. And I think a little bit of that's the transitional nature of college athletics in general. Now we have so many new guys. How do they fit in? How do they mesh and gel with their teammates? Culturally, it's easy, but then you're playing on the field next to each other. It just takes a little bit of time to get comfortable, and I think we've done that. And just the elation after just staying in the fight the way Saturday ended. The message was it wasn't going to be pretty. The weather wasn't pretty. These games they never go smooth. You're going to hit rough spots. We hit one in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and we just stayed in the fight. And then, the elation after that game, the joy, some of the smiles in the dugout. I even got a couple smiles from Hunter Hines. So, just a collective elation when you're coaching and teaching and you're with these kids like our staff is, every single day, every minute of every day, to just see the joy and the rewards, because it's just such a challenging league. It's a challenging game to begin with. Oftentimes you're dealing much more with adversity and struggle and failure than you are, the positive. To get some of those positives lately, I think it's been awesome. Selfishly, it's been awesome to see those guys and their faces light up.
What about Ryan McPherson, freshman in the ninth inning? And you kind of went through a stretch there where I felt like you were walking out every 3 minutes because guys just weren't throwing strikes, and so things kind of got out from under y'all for a minute. And to throw, you mentioned the double play, which was huge. But what about Ryan's performance late in that game as a young player?
Well, I mean, it just speaks to his preparation and his poise. I mean, and he's been as good as anybody. We know he has the stuff. It probably was me being just a little too protective of some of the young kids, and we're at a point of the season where he's not a freshman anymore and he doesn't need it. They had just seen him, over and over again. I think 3 times through the lineup, maybe even in Pearl. And of course, that one didn't end great for him. And I was just trying to protect him a little bit more, and probably in hindsight, should have just trusted him from the get-go. It's just such a big environment, and the magnitude of the game, and being a league game versus a Tuesday. I had him ready to go, in the 7th and the 8th, and just felt like the experience with the other guys, and to be able to truthfully to bail us all out, of that, it just shows great poise. And great competitive spirit, and of course he's got great stuff. But it's just the goal as a coach, and whether you're leading the team or just coaching the pitching staff, the goal is that each guy individually becomes the best version of themselves and continues to grow and develop and improve over the course of the year, and then ultimately you hope collectively at the right time at the end it all comes together with all those pieces. And that's been the focus with Ryan, from start to finish, and a lot of other guys too. So it's really cool to see that.
Justin, congratulations on the weekend. I know there's a lot more to play for, and y'all want to play for a long time. We appreciate your time today. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bo. Appreciate you.
Justin Parker, Hale State baseball coach, on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. They won another series, and they put themselves in position for the postseason, as you know, and now they'll play North Alabama on Tuesday and Missouri in Columbia Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Evan Sierre and middle of the infield, in my opinion, were the MVPs. So when you look at Reeves and Sanders and what they were able to do, and that play that Sanders made was insane. But so there you go. They won 8 of 9 series. They're rolling along, and they're trying to go to the postseason. Man, wouldn't this be wild if they do this again? I mean, Gary Henry, what year was that?
No.
2018.
Easy.
2018, they were able to get in the postseason. Now, they made a huge run, but just to get in the postseason again under an interim coach would be wild. Wild. And they take the series from Ole Miss, did what they need to do against Kentucky, and continue to win. But you can't let your guard down. That's the deal. I mean, hell, Ole Miss has Auburn coming in. They're number 2 in RPI. And Georgia's number 1. So
we're looking at, is this the definition of a trap game, trap series?
I would say yes, but Mississippi State has to win. So, it's not like you're playing for hosting.
Right.
You're playing to get in.
Yeah, for life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think the series could go either way, but I think they're going to be locked in. And I do think Missouri winning 3 against A&M is good.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Because, I mean, trying to, for 4 days, trying to tell them, look, Missouri's still good.
No.
We're all humans. If they're 0-27, you're sitting there going, yeah, but they can't even win a damn game. Now they sweep A&M.
But not only that, man, you don't get not like what Steve said about the seniors and senior day, man. Or just seniors being period. This is the last time you're playing ball.
Yeah.
This last series you got.
Well, that's a good point. They had the seniors on the field and gave them their degrees,
Right.
which I thought was cool.
That is tight.
Because they're not going to be hosting, and you're right. So for the guys that are either graduating or going pro,
Right.
that was their last SEC series.
Right.
And what a way to cap it off.
No question.
Those games were they're always intense between the Rebs and the Dogs. You throw in fighting for your life, well, losing game one, and then knowing that your back's against the wall and to come through, that's impressive. Because Ole Miss has players. They have talent. I mean, Ole Miss has some dudes.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we mentioned Luke Hill, who signed with Arizona State out of high school and Baton Rouge. So, no, that's a good point. Senior day, last series against Ole Miss, and you come through.
Yeah.
And those double plays in game three, because, man, they had some guys that really struggled to find the zone. And I kept thinking Ole Miss was going to break it open. And they were right there. I mean, just right there at the end, and Mississippi State wins it again. And it's got to be excruciating for Ole Miss because they're tired of losing in baseball. Mississippi State's tired of losing Ole Miss in football. But Ole Miss, this goes back to even before Mangum. This goes back to Frazier and Cohen and Renfro and Graveman and Woodruff and whoever in the hell. Yeah.
Back in the
Once
day.
Cohen got it going, it's been a long time. Bianco had success against Polk, but not a lot here lately. So now Ole Miss, they've got Auburn coming in. Well, let's go and
That's a tough one.
Auburn 16-11, which is not bad at all.
That's pretty good.
Ole Miss is right behind 14-13. Okay. So they're 2 games behind that group of teams with 16 wins, which is 1, 2, 3. Texas is number 1, 20-6.
Wow.
Arkansas 18-9. LSU 17-10. And Georgia 16-10.
I got you some odds on the other side.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hit that.
World Series odds.
Can Mississippi State run the table, win the tournament, and host? I don't think so. I think they make the decisions too early now, even when you make a huge run like that.
Yeah.
So we are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. And we're brought to you by Burgers Blues Barbecue, B3 in Madison and Dogwood, Flowwood, and Brandon. Enjoy lunch. Blue plates or burgers, B3, Dogwood, Flowwood. Hour number 3 coming up.